love swords so much. Everywhere I go, all I see is swords. Swords. Knives, which are just more swords. Everywhere I go, I see swords. And I can't stop thinking about them because I love them so much. You don't understand. Like, I was in the shopping district the other day, and there was a sale on knives, and I'm like, oh, I'll get some new cutlery for the house. But then the moment I saw them, I'm like, I want that. And not because they're knives and they're good for cooking, but because they were in the shape of swords. Everywhere I go, it's just swords, swords, swords. And the worst part is, I love them so much. Like, you don't understand. Swords are everything. They let me become the true seigi no mikata that I always dreamed of. And I can finally prove to my dad that I'm not worthless and that I can do something with my life and that I can carry his ideals and do something and help people. And with swords, I can do it. Like, just the other day, I bumped into our local priest. He's a really weird guy, definitely has some children in his basement. And then I walked up to him and I'm like, hey, you like this sword I have? And then he's like, hey, no, swords are lame. And I said, say psych. And then I stabbed him in the store and then I punched him. And then I said some German words I don't really understand that my girlfriend rintohsaka taught me. And then it exploded and I totally kicked his ass. And then I saved the local township from the creepy priest. Swords let me do that. And then another day, some mean guy with tan skin and like white hair showed up, and then he kept saying, oh, your ideals suck, you should totally unalive yourself and save yourself the trouble. And I said, nuh-uh. And then I whipped out a sword to deal with him. And then when he knocked the sword out of my hand, I'm like, nuh-uh, I have 2 more swords. And then I totally chucked it at him and then beat him up with it. And then he's like, very impressive, you know what, live with your ideals. But then some blonde guy showed up and totally ruined our day. And then both of our days, because we both like swords, and he understood that. But then this blonde guy's like, nuh-uh, my swords are better. And then he showed up and then fired them at us. And then I'm like, that's not how you use swords. Why are you shooting them? Swords aren't projectiles. I take that back. Swords are projectiles. They can be. And then we started fighting, and then he started winning, but then I'm like, nuh-uh, Roias, because I hit him with the, I am the bone of my sword, steel is my body, and fire is my blood. I have created over 1,000 blades, unknown to death, nor known to life, have withstood pain to create many weapons, yet those hands will never hold anything. So, as I pray, unlimited blade works, and then boom, all of a sudden he's like, what? Why are there swords everywhere? And then I said, because all my life is unlimited blade works. And then I summoned all the swords, and then we got in an epic fight. But then I copied his swords because he says his swords are better than my swords. But I say a copy can surpass an original. Nothing says the copy can't surpass the original. So I use copies of his swords to beat up his swords. And then I finally managed to catch up with him and chop off his arm. But then he's like, no, and then he pulled out his bullshit sword. That's not really a sword because I couldn't copy it. And then he used it to blow me up. But then all of a sudden, that tan guy earlier with the gray hair, he showed up and shoots a bow. I thought he was a sword enjoyer, but he used a bow, and he fired it and shot the guy in the head. And then I'm like, what the heck, man? I totally had that in the bag. And he's like, nuh-uh, you suck. Unalive yourself. And then he disappeared. Like, what is up with that? And then another day, my side bitch, you know, she started acting up because her granddad was a total POS along with her stepbrother. And then I'm like, why are you acting up? And then she started attacking me. And you know what I did? I called up the sword, the good old sword, and then I gave her a good old execariva, and I totally blew her up. And then she's like, oh, it's okay, I'm better now, senpai. And I'm like, yeah, thank goodness. Yeah, okay, I'm a go die now, because apparently using the sword makes me turn into the bone of my sword, literally. But hey, I'm back now, so that's okay. But swords solve everything. And I think at the end of the day, you know, if I were to turn into a sword, no, I've already become a sword. Yes, all my life is unlimited blade works. Man, I love swords so much. I think if I were to pick a day, October 20th, that'd be a good day to think about swords. Yeah.